And one of the problems that we face right now is exactly what Howard's saying. We're trying to integrate a lot of different people into the restaurant industry. Some people don't speak English that well. So one of my suggestions was, why don't we get the POS people to go ahead and make it that it's in English up front, and then for the kitchen, you put the words in two different things. Like, for instance, cheese. For the Mexicans, they didn't understand it, or Latinos, whatever we want to call everybody. And then I got hit by the diversity officer saying that that was not fair, and that it's not nice to say that. And I said, I'm just trying to help. No, you're trying to segregate them. And this goes round and round and round. And it depends on what state you're in, how easy it is to get it done. So that's all I got to say. I got myself in a lot of heat over this.
Just John, I think what I would do in that case is I would just say option to select English and Spanish on each terminal.
It's not just that though. It's also, then all of a sudden, where is Chinese? Where is this? Where is that? Where is the French for the Haitians? Where is, you see, all of that. Even they go to the extent of patois, you know, for the people coming from different islands.
Well, isn't there an app on the phone that allows you to translate a language to another language in a conversation? So yeah. So why couldn't that be developed on the POS system?
It is considered that you're being very discriminatory, that you're assuming that they're stupid.
I am very discriminatory when it comes to cream cheese on the pastrami.
Well, then you'll get in more trouble in New York, Howard, because I'm telling you, it's coming your way, man. You're lucky to be in Florida this week, because I just ran into this just 2 days ago, and I'm still fuming over this. Okay, I've got a bunch of union workers on a project right now that don't know how to work because they're afraid they're going to offend each other, because we have to hire a diverse group from a union, and the union, you know, they don't really have a diverse group to start with.
Right.
And now we've got the union interfighting with the other union, saying that if they don't want to do this, I got called honey the other day by a guy. I find it offensive, okay? But I had to just look at the guy and kiss him, okay? So I turn around and I have to take certain people and I have to put them in other rooms just so they don't fight with each other, and I pay them. And right now my cost overruns on I can't say the project. Everybody knows where I work doing this stuff.
We're being recorded now, the whole thing.
Yeah, but I can tell you what, we're cost overruns over $130,000 just because we have to hire this type of group, this type of group, and this type of group. And the brown isn't as dark as the black, and the black isn't as Chinese as the Chinese. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Just tell me what you want. And the key is do what the diversity officer wants, and that's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you tell I have emotion?
Yeah, that's the most emotion I've seen since you've been in the group.
I'm starting to charge more money just because of these things that I have to deal with in the field. When I'm doing a construction job, my prices have gone up over 30% for certain groups because there's too much woke, okay?
Yeah.
Not enough rest.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's not as bad as the risk of having somebody in a Geico insurance claim for 5.2 million because she had sex with a guy and caught a human papilloma virus. Geico's having to pay $5.2 million. So I sent it to my friend from Hyundai. I'm like, this happened in a Hyundai. They're coming after you next. So risk is everywhere.
Well, I'm speechless. But earlier in the 9 o'clock group, one of our members who does employee benefits, has a future son-in-law who went to work for Nike in a retail outlet, and he was presented with a list of employee benefits. So he, our member, copied it and he put it on the screen for us to look at. That's another issue with restaurant workers. The restaurant workers normally do not get a benefits package, or up until recently, it was like it never happened unless it was in management. But the average restaurant worker is a college kid, doing waiting or hostess, and they're in and out as the semesters change and the hours change. But now those kids and those people are getting out of the restaurant industry because people like Nike are offering benefits packages. So what do we do in the restaurant industry to attract people to work in it?
And the challenge there, Howard, is they're so small in employee numbers that unless you go through a payroll company that includes benefits, you really can't be competitive on the benefits side.
Right.
How many people want to work in an industry like for certain things? Like, for instance, big corporations that are in the food service field are having bigger problems than the smaller restaurants at hiring people.
I'll jump in there.
Can't hear you, Randy.
Hey, you're cutting out, Randy, like you have bad internet.
I mean, how can a restaurateur who has a cook, a line, prep line, and a couple of waitresses, how can they afford to do a benefits package? How can they attract people? It's going to go back to literally mom and pop family businesses.
I think what Randy's trying to chime in is that's where he can step in with his company. He can put that benefits package in as part of it. So it's basically like an employee leasing program.
Guys, I'll touch
You keep
on the payroll piece.
You're freezing up on our end here. And this is a tough question. This is the future of our industry that we're trying to solve. It's not an easy solution.
I can tell you that the bigger companies are having problems because of lawsuits. Take a look at how many lawsuits have been filed for discrimination and things like that in the last 7 to 8 months. And you're going to find out that in almost every area of our industry, you're getting that. You're getting it even with manufacturers that are hiring people for manufacturing. Everybody has got to be so careful today. I was sat down for over 40 minutes with the people to go over what offends everyone. And when I left there, I was more confused than when I went in.
Well, it's an old, it's old, but it's new. It's an old problem, but it's been given a new twist and a new name. The woke. I could tell you stories about the garment industry, 30 years ago when I was in it. And I'm not going to.
Hey, Randy.
It's Randy.
Chip,
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm up in Jupiter. Bad connection. So I'm gonna chime in on the health benefit piece because this is a huge issue right now across the board for employee retention. With the Restaurant Association, we partner with United Healthcare. Typically, you have 4 or 5 participants in the program. Employees are leaving for $2 more an hour, but the benefits piece is huge. I just actually started working with U.S. Health Advisors. They specialize in the small, the 1 to 5 employee or 1 to 5 live employee counts. Huge issue for not only the restaurants, but small business across the board. And really, there's not a solution outside of the employer taking it on as a total expense because of the nature of the employee roster, or they pretty much don't offer it. And it's across the board as a huge retention attrition issue right now within payroll. I mean, the payroll expenses are anywhere on an average between 27 to 30% on their P&L. And, we help drive that down, but this benefits thing, the health insurance, the AFLAC, even though it's pre-tax, is really something that needs to be, taken into account for and under control.
Yeah. It's going to be a big challenge. I think a lot of restaurants are going to close because of it. I know a restaurateur, I'm not going to say who it is at the moment, who has been around for 32 years and decided that's it. Sold out.
Where do you see the change or the break? Is it going to be all these restaurants going out of business and then something's going to have to change? Or is there a movement enough to make the positive changes to keep restaurants in business and keep employees in health insurance? Or is it just right now just fighting the monster?
Yeah, Debbie, I see it a lot like doctors' offices. They're all banding together as groups to get better packages on discounts on their insurance, or they're self-insuring, based on the fact that, enough of them, what they're paying in just their malpractice insurance alone, they can afford to self-insure as a group. So I would see restaurants doing a similar thing to get better benefit bundles and et cetera. You're going to see the bigger groups running out the small mom and pops. And, it's kind of like Walmart pushing out people and Amazon pushing out people. You're going to see the same thing in the restaurants. It's going to be the chains and the large groups that survive.
So let me ask one question.
Go ahead.
Well, Randy, this is you would probably be the best person to answer. Is I agree with what you're saying. And if we're a group of people, and I know this might sound political, but what is it that we can do as a group to help push the movement to keep restaurants open? Because that's all our livelihood. If we're working in restaurants, we need them to stay alive. What is it that's something that we could do as a group to kind of push the change without I don't know if you could do without being political or without being dangerous. Is that something we could do to support restaurant owners?
Yeah, we can do. Well, I'll get a hold of Bruce from the 9 o'clock group who provides employee benefits and start a TRN benefits package, a group. No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
something.
Seriously, is that possible? And I don't know.
I don't know if it is or not, but that's what Darren was saying, that groups are going to have to be formed to take advantage of it. Like an
So what-
association,
There's a
like we could do the TRN Restaurant Association and offer things to restaurants at a better price because we're a group and we have group buying power. That's the basis of all the restaurant associations around the country.
Well, that's
Great
a
idea.
place to
Right.
start.
How
Right,
about
the restaurant
with the
association.
insurance side
right.
of it, being a manufacturer, years ago, Florida stopped you from being able to, let's say, go to your Chamber of Commerce and get on their insurance group plan because not everybody could do it. So therefore they said you can't do that anymore. And in the state of Florida, you have to go through the regular channels and you can't get a group discount unless you're the bigger groups. And so there's those issues because I fight that here. Years ago, my brother had a business in Cincinnati for the same insurance policy through United Healthcare. He paid $550 for a family of 4. We were paying $1,400 a month.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't commingle.
Right.
The problem with the you got to go political, and you got to get them to be able to change that law so that you can have groups like you're talking about, putting it together and everybody get into the healthcare under one group. And then that way it's a group instead of an age process for costing it out.
Right.
And that's what we've been fighting for a long time.
What a lot of payroll companies are doing, or employment companies, is they lease the employees. So the employee actually becomes an employee of that payroll company, and then they lease them back to the restaurant. That's one way around it.
Correct.
And I don't know if you do that,
Linebacker
Randy.
does that.
No, the PEOs are dangerous for small to mid-sized businesses because there's no wage-based limits. So,
Right.
you know, if you have a family biz and you know, they're not pulling a lot of money out of the business, right? So the margins are typically in a restaurant anywhere from 6 to 8%. But with leasing, they continue to pay into the administration fees. Unfortunately, you know, for some of these folks, if they have bad workers' comp history, that PEO is the only way to go. But the cost or the percentage that they pay into the payroll is very, very high, and it's very significant against the bottom line. United Healthcare does a great job. I'm looking into this U.S. Health Advisors that, like I said, specializes in the smaller contribution employee counts. But across the board, it's going to be an expense to the employer if they want to keep these employees, and we're seeing it, especially in hospitality.
Well, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it yet, but Mark Cuban started a prescription drug plan. And something like that, if a restaurateur knew about that group, he could contact them and maybe put a name on it for their restaurant and offer it to the employees as part of the package.
Yeah, he just rolled that out, didn't he? It just hit the news, beginning of the week?
This was a couple
Cuban?
months ago. I read
Is
that
it a couple months ago?
Yeah, I went on his website yesterday, and the prices, the difference in prices is crazy. You know, a drug that normally sells for $50, I guess after insurance, or I'm not really sure, but maybe somebody without insurance is $50 or $100. He's selling it for $7 or $20. You know, whatever he's charging 15% over cost.
Wow.
With a little bit of a surcharge for delivery and for pharmacy fee. So it's really a good deal. I mean, whether you like him or not, it seems to me to be a great program.
You must be buying them in Canada, because there's no way his cost would be lower if you're buying them here in the US. Seriously. I mean, there's a huge difference in pricing.
or Mexico.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I can
exactly.
tell you, our son needed a drug for his stomach, and the doctor said, you're not going to really like this. And we went to the local Publix, and our cost after insurance was $1,000 for like 5 pills. And he'd said, you need to go to Canadian pharmacy. Well, my wife turned around, she did that, and then she called a local pharmacy in a town called Mulberry, who do their own compound. It ended up costing her, it was like $79 out of pocket. Canadian was $76, and the pharmacies wanted to charge $1,000. And that's right here in Florida. So
Yeah.
it's a huge scam, and it's a problem for all manufacturers, anybody who's got to have this insurance. It's crazy what we go through, and you all know, but it's almost like we got to do something with our state representatives and go after them and say, this is ridiculous. This is killing the industry. I hate to go political on things, but it's almost like you got to go there, because they've got to change the laws so that we can do groups and get it in a group amount, a dollar amount for the groups. We got a local guy up here, and we've done that. He's actually incorporated in another state, and we dropped our insurance by nearly 60% cost because we did it. We're in a bigger group under them. Now, we don't lease our employees because, yeah, the expense was huge to us. But we've actually reduced it. I remember years ago, we used to pay 100% for employees' health insurance. And then what we found out is they were getting double insured. So we started charging, $2 a week for it. And then everybody dropped off that already had insurance under another plan. And then, we went into being more shared with them. So we now we'll pay 70 and the employees got to pay 30%. And that's one of the ways that, we keep employees and keep people happy with it. But it's the cost of this stuff has just gotten ridiculous because we can't get in a big group as a norm. So if there's any way from a political side that we can go after our state and say, you got to change these laws to keep, so the restaurants can do what everybody wants them to do and give that benefit, but it's just too costly. And I think we really got to start.
Yeah, I think, and that's where the Florida Restaurant Association and Hospitality Association need to work together with that and work with smaller groups like ours to help push that through, because it is a huge problem.
We have a member in the 9 o'clock group who's involved in the insurance industry, primarily in Medicare, but he is on some committee in Washington that creates and tries to bring up to date insurance regulations. So I might ask him to stop by here one morning and maybe discuss that. I think that would be interesting, and maybe we can form something.
The insurance is a really difficult one. We've tried to do it in our association for the Restaurant Facility Maintenance Association, and it's fraught with tons of interstate commerce.
Right.
Overstate, and when you get into cross states, it's a nightmare. We have a partnership with a company that actually does bill analysis, kind of similar to the look back, but it moves forward. And so it actually, we had a guy who put in his a Verizon bill and he saved $1,250 a year by them negotiating. They know what all the contracts that are out there. We don't need to be sitting here trying to reinvent the wheel. They go off and compare it to $3 trillion worth of purchases by large and small companies. And then they go, oh, okay, this is the best rate. They renegotiate with your existing providers, and then we give them a percentage of the savings. And so it could be a good avenue and it can be for employees now. It used to not be for employees. It was only for businesses. So now we're doing it as an employee benefit to a lot of our McDonald's owner operators. Hey, just have them submit 3 or 4 of their bills, and all of a sudden their phone bill goes down, their whatever internet is on there. There's a ton of different categories, but insurance is one of the most problematic and legal problem.
That's one thing that I always had faith in is I'm going to get political. I'm going to get rah America, but I have faith in America for coming up with solutions to stuff like this. We always seem to roll with the punch. It's just something that we inherent in our country that everybody may not like it, but it solves the problem for the greater good.
Yep. Yeah, if you can lower costs for an employee, obviously he's going to be happy too. And so, they don't have to make as much. All we do is lower a cost or increase revenue one way or the other. That's the only 2 ways in your own personal as well as your business. So reduce costs, cut costs.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was late.
I think we had a good conversation. I don't know if we changed anything yet, but that's a beginning. At least we solved the problem, or the solution. We got the solution to the video and the question and that whole process, and we're going to work on that. And hopefully next week I can show you something. And again, thank you all for coming today to the here's a new thing, the Today's Restaurant News Networking Group, the Food Service Industry Authority. We'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. And
Take care, everybody.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
may the sauce be with you.
Peace out.